Hello, everyone. It's your boy, King Donald. I'm here with another video. Today, we're gonna be doing What If Deku had Spirit Control. If you haven't already, watch part 1 in the link in the description, okay? And don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the video. Izuku would run into the arena and he would see his first his first robot. And Izuku would use his ki blast to destroy the robot. And Izuku would be surprised how non-durable the robots are. And that's when he realized that this is gonna be easier than he thought. So Izuku would be going around destroying robots using his enhanced strength and his ki blast. He also used these ki blasts to sometimes boost him to get more speed, to be able to go blaze right through the robot. Izuku would be almost everywhere at every time, and everyone would think, what the heck is this kid? How many quirks does he have? And everyone being confused. When we switch over to the teacher's perspective, they're watching the screen and they see Izuku just dominating the area, and everyone's like, who is this kid? They're like, Izuku Midoriya. Quirk? Spirit Control. And would be very interested in him, and with All Might also smiling, thinking, this kid's got potential. And Izuku would be continuing getting more points and also helping people if they're in trouble. Izuku would have a solid 45 combat points, and Izuku would think, I think that's good, but I need more. And Izuku would go out to get more, but that's when the 0 point robot would approach, and Izuku would think, maybe, no, but he said it was 0 points. No, maybe. I don't know. And he's conflicting in his mind if he should approach it, until he hears a scream from a teenage girl. And he would look behind and he see the girl is a brunette, and he'll connect the dots and he realizes that was Uraraka, the girl that he talked to earlier. And Izuku would be hesitant to save her, but yet again, subconsciously, his body would just start moving towards Uraraka. Izuku eventually arrived there and with ease would pick up the rubble and take Uraraka back. He'll take her about a few distance away from the 0 point robot, and Uraraka would be like, thanks, I would have been crushed. And Izuku's like, yeah, no problem. And Izuku's turning back to look at the 0 point robot, and he's like, might as well. And Uraraka's like, whoa, what are you doing? He's like, you weigh. They say the 0 point robot is worth 0 points, but I'm sure they wouldn't put so much effort into making this massive thing for it not to be destroyed. And Uraraka's like, you're insane! And Izuku just laughs. He's like, thanks. And he starts running towards the 0 point robot at a pretty, decent speed. Izuku arrived in front of the 0 point robot, and he would have developed you could say a technique. So Izuku's like, breathe in. Remember, stay calm. And Izuku would start to draw out his ki, you could say, into both of his hands. And at first you would see a ki ball at the size of a marble, and it would start to grow dramatically bigger and bigger. And the teachers will be watching this, and they'll be interested of what Izuku is doing. Izuku would combine his hands together, and he'll make the key blast even bigger, and this point is at the size of a beach ball. Yeah, a beach ball. And everyone's impressed, thinking, how was he able to? And Izuku would just say, this is a technique I've been developing. Am I dreaming? But I need to do it. And he's like, Almighty Blast! Almighty Blast! And it does that echo thing. And Izuku would shoot a massive blast of green energy towards the robot, and the energy would pierce right through the 0 Point robot's head, making a quite decent sized hole into it. And Izuku would look at the hole and be like, that should do it. And he'll drop to his knees and he'll start gasping for air, being low on stamina. Everyone would be impressed and they're like, wait, but is it still functioning? And Izuku would be like, wait, is it? And he'll look up and he'll see the 0 Point robot just starts to fall behind and finally falls over. And everyone would come back. Izuku would see this and he would smile and he would pass out. Everyone would be concerned. Recovery Girl would come around saying, it's okay everyone, it's okay. And she would of course kiss Izuku and she would think, alright, he should be up in a few. And she looks back at Izuku and Izuku's still passed out and she's like, wait, what's wrong with him? So this time she actually kneels down and uses her, I don't know, what is it called? Stethoscope? Whatever. She tries to do some stuff and she realizes Izuku's still passed out. And everyone would be more and more concerned, like, what's going to happen? With Urako being the most concerned. And Recovery Girl tells everyone to stay back. He needs some air. And that's when she actually calls in the heroes. She's like, alright, this one's pretty serious. I kissed him, but he didn't do nothing. And they're like, oh, crap. So Recovery Girl's doing her best, trying to wake up Izuku and stuff. That's when All Might, Aizawa, and Nezu would just all appear. And Recovery Girl would tell him what happened. Like, she came and that she kissed him and he's not waking up. And they're like, yeah. And Nezu's like, yeah, it happened after he done that massive blast. Oh, maybe it's a side effect or something. And they're like, yeah, we need to get into the hospital bed. Well, so yeah, they take him to the nurse's office and they lay him down, and All Might and Aizawa and Nezu are there, with All Might being in his small might form, relaxing a little bit. And they'll be discussing what's wrong with Izuku and stuff. So they'll get out his information and actually call Inko, tell him that his son has passed out, and we're trying the best as we can, but he's not waking up. And they say, don't worry, I'm sure this is just a small misunderstanding or something, but I'm positive he will be fine. And Inko's like, oh, okay. And the recovery girl will be like, okay, you don't seem concerned. And she's like, yeah, I sent someone on their way. It's okay. Alright, I'll go back to work. Thank you anyways. And she would hang up the phone, and recovery girl would be like, okay. So they'll continue discussing and everything, and suddenly Kevin would appear inside the room, and everyone look at him with such confusion. And then the confusion will go away and quickly go to hostility, and everyone there will go in a fine stance. Well, mostly only All Might and Aizawa, went into a fine stance, with All Might going into his buff form. Kevin would see that they're all hostile. He's like, no, let me explain. And Aizawa didn't want to take any chances, so he turns on his quirk and goes to attack Kevin. But when he tried to get Kevin in his binding cloak, Kevin teleports And everyone's like, whoa, where did he go? And he's like, I'm here. Can I just... And All Might tries to catch him, but it doesn't happen. And Aizawa's like, what the? And All Might's like, Aizawa, use your quirk on him. He's like, I am. And they're like, wait, what's happening? And Kevin appears again, and All Might tries to catch him again. He's like, you foul villain. What are you trying to do with him? And he's like, let me just... And All Might tries to hit him again. Well, not throwing a punch. Trying more like a slap, you could say. I don't know. And Kevin's like, can I just... Oh, forget it. And he teleports right in front of All Might, and he grabs his head. And what Kevin done, he goes into All Might's mindscape, and they're in this empty space. And that's when All Might appears, and Kevin. And All Might's like, what are you doing, you villain? Why are you trying to enter my mind? And Kevin's like, I'm not trying to enter your mind. And I'm not a villain. He's like, who are you then? Why are you here? He's like, my name is Kevin, and I'm here for Zuko Midoriya. You could say that he's my student. His mother has sent me here because he was in an accident, and it seems to me that he's still passed out, and I've came to help. And All Might's still not convinced, saying, okay, villain. No, he wouldn't say villain, but he said, okay. And Kevin was like, okay. He seemed not convinced. Alright then, since we're in your mind, I might as well show you. And All Might's like, show me what? And Kevin starts to show All Might his memories when he got on Earth. He met Izuku and all that stuff, teaching Izuku and all that stuff. And All Might's like, whoa, what the? So you are here for young Midoriya, and you are an alien, huh? And you teaching him this thing, ki/spirit control. And he's like, Kevin's like, yeah, precisely. Midoriya asked me if I could teach him my ways, the usage of ki. Because he wanted to be a hero so bad. He was one of those unfortunate people who was born without powers, you say, quirkless people. And I could see in his eyes, and he was very desperate. And I budged and I taught him. And I could see already that his potential is unlimited. He's a prodigy. Most people on my planet would take years, months, decades to be able to do the things that he was doing. But for Zuko, it took 10 months to learn quite a few things. And I'm extremely positive that in these few months he's gonna learn quite a lot of things. And All Might will be like, it seems you really care for him. And Kevin's like, it seems I have. And All Might's like, alright then, Kevin, I trust you, but I'm not gonna let you off the hook. But I saw what you want to do, and alright. And Kevin's like, alright then. So they go out the mind space, and for the outside world it's only been a second, and suddenly All Might went from a hostile mode, and suddenly he'll just go back to his normal self, and we're like, it's fine everyone, it's fine. And as I was like, what just happened? He touched your head, and he's like, he explained everything to me, and it's okay. And Kevin walks up to Izuku, and he touches Izuku. He's like, Izuku. Anyways. And suddenly, more like a green aura would start to surround Izuku. And suddenly his bruises and all that stuff would start to heal. And everyone would be amazed seeing this energy. And they'll think, whoa. And All Might be like, oh, so this is what this ki is. So suddenly, once Kevin finished healing Izuku would suddenly come up gasping for air, be like, "Oh, what just happened?" And Kevin's like, "Izuku, you used up almost all of your ki. You knew that was very dangerous to do." And he said, "Oh, my bad. I may have over-exaggerated that blast." And Kevin's like, "Nelly, you had 2%. If you used any more ki, you could have died. That's all your energy gone." And Izuku's like, "Yeah, my bad." And you look around the room and you see, he's like, "Oh, is that Recovery Girl? Oh, is that Nezu? Was that Night Eye? No, not. What am I saying? Did I say? Oh my god! I just said Night Eye. Is that a Razorhead? No, it can't be. Is that All Might?" And Kevin's like, yes. Izuku, yeah, it seems to me that you passed out. So, yeah, they brought you here, and here we are now. And Izuku's like, "Wow, thanks." And All Might, he's like, "Haha, young man, I would just like to ask you some questions." And Izuku's excited that All Might's asking him questions. Like, yeah, he thought it'd be the other way around. And All Might asks, "So, how do you know this person, you could say?" And Izuku's like, "Oh." And you look at Kevin and it's like, "Do they know?" And Kevin's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Oh, Kevin, he's an alien." And Nezu and Recovery Girl and Zawa would be like, "Alien?" And Oma would be like, "Oh, so he was right." And yeah, they'll start having a conversation and all that stuff. And Izuku would start to explain that how everything happened and confirms the story with Kevin and all that stuff, and that he's quirkless. And everyone in the room would actually be impressed and realize that Izuku has great potential, because he was able to learn this thing that took years apparently from Kevin to do. And All Might would look at Izuku and be very impressed, and he would decide, "Alright, I've decided." And Izuku would be like, "Decide what?" It's like, "Young man, would you like to train with me?" And Izuku would be like, "What, train with you? All Might?" It's like, "Yes. From what Kevin has told me, and what you said yourself, is that you're able to do these things. And I could see already of how you moved around in the entrance exam, that you don't have much combat experience, but I can teach you all of that." Well, Kevin teaches you the usual. And Izuku be like, "Sure." And All Might be like, "Alright then, kid. But, get home and recover and meet me at this location." And Izuku be like, "Yeah, sure. Alright." And he would be impressed. And Izuku would be like, "Oh my, I can't believe." And then Nezu would look at Izuku and say, "Oh, Izuku, just so you know, you're ready into UA." And Izuku like, wait, what? I passed?" He's like, "Most definitely. I felt like you didn't really need that stress on you. And well, I felt it was implied when All Might offered to train you. So, yeah, you're in UA." And Izuku would be excited, thinking, "How did I get so lucky?" So yeah, Izuku would go home and he'd rest and feeling excited. So the next day, he would go to Deku beach with Kevin, and they would see All Might there. And All Might would start, they'll greet each other and all that stuff. And All Might would tell Izuku before they start he wants to spar with Izuku. And Izuku would be scared, but All Might encourages it. So Izuku would get into a fighting stance of what he knew. And All Might would think this is weird, but he would allow it. So they would basically have a fight with All Might starting off the fight, throwing a punch at Izuku, with Izuku barely dodging it and kicking All Might in the face. All Might would say to Izuku, quite impressive. But you could do better than that. And he punches Izuku away, and basically they'll start to exchange stuff, and Izuku would be that's enough. And he'll jump into the air and start throwing a barrage of ki blast, and All Might would be like, this is the energy. And he would shield himself and like tank the ki blasts, and All Might would be like, I thought that those would do more damage. I guess not. And he would dash to Izuku, kicking him away, and Izuku coughing out, spit, because he's not doing that hard, just cough out blood. And All Might finish off the fight. All Might would tell Izuku that he is impressed with his strength, but he could already tell from the beginning that he does not know how to actually fight. I mean, he has tremendous strength and agility, but his fighting technique is trash, you could say. Almost like it's even worse than mine, and I only punch, and that says a lot. And Izuku's like, damn, I didn't know it was that bad. And almost like, don't blame yourself. Blame Kevin. Kevin's like, what? It's like, I can already tell Kevin is not the fighting type. So that's why I think it's good for you to do combat training with me and ki training with Kevin. And Kevin would think this is really logical, and he would agree. And with Izuku also agreeing, because it's pretty cool. So for 2 weeks before the beginning of school at UA, Izuku, that would be one of his most intense 2 weeks of his life. So Izuku would be actually excused from school, with everyone being confused, but it's by the government, I don't know, by the hero agency or something like that, and they allow it. So Izuku at this point is gonna have one of the most intense 2 weeks of his life. So Izuku would wake up and instantly has to go on his run to put up his stamina, and he'll come back home, eat, and he has to instantly go out. And he would meet up with All Might, and that's when All Might would show Izuku different strategies you can do in fights, and basically for 3 hours would brutally be beaten up by All Might. And after that, he would go home, he would eat, and then he would have his training with Kevin. And that's when Kevin would actually start to teach Izuku another technique. He's gonna teach Izuku how to fly. So Kevin will tell Izuku to do his meditation as usual, and to close his eyes, and Izuku would be like, alright then, sure. But then suddenly Kevin would grab Izuku and teleport into the air, high up into the air. And Izuku would be like, wait, where am I? And he would open his eyes and he sees that he's hundreds of feet off the ground. And Izuku started falling. Kevin, what the heck? And Kevin's falling with him, but more in a pencil-like way. And Izuku was like, oh, Kevin, what are we doing up here? He's like, I'm gonna teach you the technique that's one of the most basic ones. And Izuku's like, well, what the heck is it? He's like, I'm gonna teach you how to fly. And Izuku's like, how to fly? I don't think this is the best way to teach me. He's like, think of it. Birds learn how to fly like this all the time. But Izuku's like, I'm not a bird, am I? He's like, yes. But, you could say humans and animals have the same tendencies. Same instincts, you could say. And Izuku's like, did you just compare humans to whatever? How am I supposed to do this? He's like, well, figure it out yourself. Remember, you gotta manipulate your ki. Think of it as how you draw to your ki blast. And that's all I'm gonna give you. And Izuku's like, what? He's like, think about how I draw my ki blast. And he's like, alright, by drawing my ki blast, I get the energy from within me and I draw it out to my hands, and that's when it appears, and it's like I draw it out to my hands. And Kevin's kind of smiling, and that's when he teleports to the ground, and he's still looking up at Izuku, and Izuku's like, it was pretty obvious. I gotta transfer it to my feet. So Izuku, this time not making it go to his hands instantly, he tries to focus as hard as he can to make the ki blast go down his legs and eventually to the soles of his feet. And Izuku would try his hardest, and Izuku would be real close to the ground, approaching at a fast pace. And Kevin would start thinking, oh, maybe he's not gonna get this. And Izuku would be like, come on, focus. And he's like, draw to my feet and push, draw to my feet and push, draw that to my feet and push. And Izuku, while doing all this, would be closing his eyes. So Izuku would open his eyes, and you see he's really close to the ground. He's like, oh no, draw to my feet and push. And he'll close his eyes, and then Izuku didn't feel an impact, and he'd be like, what the? He's like, no, I couldn't. And he'd look, and he's like, I done it. And Kevin's like, you see, you humans are just exactly as birds. And Izuku's like, I wouldn't say that, but it did work. Your method did work. And you'll start to get inside it until Izuku falls on his butt, making it, Izuku is not a professional in flight. And, that was just a cracking, I don't know what I'm trying to say. That was just the tip of the iceberg for flying. So yeah, for the rest of 2 weeks, Izuku will continue to get down the basics of flying, and Izuku would actually be able to do it at a decent speed, but it would take a lot of energy for him to do it, so it's still something, but it's pretty good. So yeah, finally the 2 weeks are over, and Izuku at this point has increased his fighting abilities, and also is okay at flying. He's not at tremendous speeds, equivalent to Hawks yet, but he's gonna get there. So finally, the first day of UA comes around, and Izuku will be waltzing around the hallways, and he would feel a little more confident with Kevin and All Might being in his corner. So he'd walk in the door, and he'll see Bakugo and Ida arguing as usual, and Izuku would toughen up and be like, it's just Bakugo. And that's when Ida will come up to him, introducing himself. Basically everything in the anime going the same with Owaka and all that stuff, and Aizawa telling him to go down. So Izuku would change quickly and actually be one of the first ones out, and Aizawa actually grabs Izuku to the side and asks Izuku, so how was the training? And Izuku's like, oh yeah, it was pretty good. I learned quite a lot of stuff in his house. So that you know, Izuku, because you have training from All Might and an alien, don't mean you're gonna get special treatment in this class. If you do bad, you're gonna get expelled. If you do good, well, good for you. I'm not gonna give you special treatment. I'm gonna treat you the same as the rest, alright? Don't get it twisted, Izuku. Izuku be like, yes sir. He's like, alright then, go and wait for everyone else. So yeah, Izuku would wait for that and all that stuff, and he would meet up with Uraraka saying, hey, Uraraka? And he's like, yeah, and they start talking, and that's when Aizawa interrupts him. So Aizawa starts to do his speech as usual, saying the world is not fair and they're trying to equalize things, but that's the stupid way of doing it. And he's like, alright then, Izuku, come up to the stage. And they're like, wait, oh, kind of whispering. And he's like, alright then, how far did you throw this ball in middle school? He's like, oh, I'm just gonna make a random number. He's like, 60 meters or something. And he's like, alright then, try using your quirk to throw as far as you can. And Izuku's like, alright then, my quirk. Alright. And Izuku would look at the ball and say, could do it like that. And he's like, alright. And he closes his eyes and Izawa's like, Izuku. He's like, yeah. And Izuku closes his eyes and he starts to infuse the ball with his own ki. And the ball will start to glow green and everyone's confused. Until Izawa knows what he's doing, but he allows it. So Izuku puts the ki inside the ball and he's like, alright then. And he goes into a pitcher's motion and he throws the ball. And everyone's like, whoa! And Izuku, just by pure strength, let's just say, he threw the ball 400 meters. Which is quite impressive. And Izuku's like, I'm not done yet. And since he refused to be this ki, he was in control of it. He throws it again up into the air, shooting it farther. Let's just say getting 1,200, with everyone being impressed and Bakugo being pissed off about Izuku's score. And everyone started talking. He's like, oh, it makes sense. He did break the 0-point robot. They're like, wait, what? And Bakugo over here was like, huh? He broke the 0-point robot? He's like, yeah, he did. And Bakugo being even more pissed, like, So yeah, they'll continue more with doing the quirk assessment, with Izuku doing pretty well with all of the other things. For the race, Izuku would actually, use his flight. With everyone being confused, saying, you can fly too? He's like, this is part of the quirk. And he'll do well on the other things with the grip strength, with his long jump, and all that stuff. And I'm gonna say Izuku comes first place, and by Izuku coming first place, Bakugo is getting even more pissed off. So after school, Izuku would be talking with Ida, and that's when Uraku would come running out. And he's like, Izuku! And all this stuff. He's like, hey Izuku, wow, I'm quite impressed of you back there. And he's like, yeah, thanks. She's like, wait, I never asked, but what happened after the exam? I mean, you just passed out and then they took you away. And it was like, oh, about that, yeah. I just kind of passed out and Recovery Girl's healing, you could say. It wasn't enough energy. She didn't have enough energy, so she just kind of took a break and she healed me up again. She's like, oh, I guess that makes sense. And yeah. So be like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But Zuko, what is your quirk? In the exam and today you showed different abilities in the exam. In the exam, it seemed like you had enhanced strength and those ki blasts, and you could sense people or something. And now you can fly. And it looks like, oh yeah, my quirk is called Spirit Control, and they're like, Spirit Control. So it looks like, yeah, I have energy inside of me which I can manipulate to do different things. The energy it helps me increase my base stats, and it will help me shoot out these energy balls. And from the energy I produce inside of me, I use the energy to, how I fly. I shoot out the energy out of my feet to be able to fly. And they're like, oh, okay, like, you have a pretty strong quirk there. And it's like, yeah, it's pretty good. And it's just like, pretty good. I wish mine was half as good as yours. And it's like, don't do that. So anyways, yeah, they'll go back home with all of them being best friends. So yeah. So the next day, they go back to school, to normal school day, until All Might comes to the room saying, running through the door like a hero. And he starts to explain that all the deadly bad villains happen in all the bad fights with the bad villains always happens indoors. So you're gonna be doing a combat exercise with you guys being heroes and villains inside doors. I said inside doors. Indoors. Indoors. With them introducing them suits And screw it. But it's gonna be the same yard drag thing, with green hints of green in it. Yeah, let's just say that with hints of green in it. Yeah, might as well. So yeah, Izuku comes out and Uraku compliments his, and he compliments her, saying that it actually is better skin tight, because with baggy clothes, someone could instantly, you could get caught in things and it's gonna be a real mess. And Izuku convinced Uraka that, it was better like this, and, let's just say she appreciates that. You know what I'm saying? She appreciates that. So All Might pulls out the same teams as in the anime, so yeah. No need to mention that. So before the fight, Izuku would actually use his sensory abilities to see where their locations, and then he's like, alright then. And All Might shouts, go! And they all run in, and Izuku could already sense Bakugo's keys approaching. Like, he's like, alright, they coming after us. And she's like, oh, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna fight him? He's like, yeah, we don't need to. Alright then. So Izuku would actually avoid Bakugo and actually easily get up to the top of the bomb. And that's when Ida's there. He's like, aha, you cannot stop it. And doing his, weird villain voice. And Izuku's like, it's 2 against 1. You can't stop us. And he's like, is it? And that's when Bakugo comes blasting through the wall. It's like, Deku! And Izuku's like, wait, what the? And Ida's like, I called him back knowing that you guys avoided him. I knew after 2 minutes or so, without any explosions, signaled that Bakugo hasn't found you and you're able to escape him. So I told Bakugo, if you didn't find him in 2 minutes, you have to come back here. And just as I planned. And Izuku's like, crap. And that's when Bakugo's like, you've avoiding this fight, Deku. Time to end this. And he's like, alright, Uraka, back to back. And that's what they do. And Bakugo's like, and he goes up into the air and he's like, I'm gonna leave you for last, Deku. And he turns and he actually blasts Uraka away, hitting her into a wall. And Izuku's like, Uraka! And that's when he's kind of pissed off. He's like, alright then, Bakugo, you wanted to fight? Here's a fight! And Bakugo's like, that's what I wanted. And that's when Ida comes. He's like, as a villain, I won't let you have fair fights. It's gonna be a 2v1. And Izuku's like, so be it. And that's when Bakugo comes in with with an explosion, but Izuku dodges it and he punches Bakugo, but Bakugo tanks that and he actually knees Izuku in the face, slamming him over. And that's when Ida comes with the reciprocal kick, actually sending Izuku through the wall. And it's like, crap. And it starts to bleed already. And it's like, these guys are stronger than I thought. And before Izuku can even rest, Bakugo will come in with explosions. But Izuku's like, nah. And he shoots a ki blast, which actually hits Bakugo away. And Izuku gets up and he's like looking around. And he senses Ida's kick coming from behind. So he dodges it. And he swipes his leg and kicks him away, shooting a ki blast while he's still going in that direction. And this fight will continue going on, being exchange blows and all that stuff. And everyone watching it would be impressed of the fight. They're like, what a fight. Izuku's able to deal with both of them. With Todoroki being slightly impressed, but it's 2 weak people in his eyes, so it's not that impressive. So Izuku at this point would kind of be bleeding everywhere, and all wanted to think, should I stop the fight? He's like, no. Young Midoriya has to come over this hurdle. There's going to be unfair fights like this every time you're a pro hero. So if he can't go through this, we have quite a lot of work to do. And he says it's all in his mind. So that's when Bakugo is kind of like, And there, and Izuku's kind of grabbing his arm, signaling that it hurts. And Bakugo goes in again with another explosion, you could say. And Izuku dodges it and he throws a ki blast, but Bakugo reflects it away using his explosions. And Izuku's like, crap, I'm almost out of energy. And Bakugo's like, I've been saving this. And he throws one of his gauntlets to Ida. And Ida's like, what's this? He's like, follow my lead. And they aim the freaking gauntlets at Izuku. And Izuku's like, what the? And that's when Bakugo's like, I'm sure since you're so obsessed with me, you know how my quirk works. I produce nitroglycerin that's, explosive, whatever, you guys understand it. And it's like, and this bad boy here has been storing all my sweat. So you know what that means. And Ida, puts the dots together. It's like, oh no, Bakugo, wouldn't that be too much? He's like, shut up! We got to do this. And Ida's like, stay in the role. And he also does it. He also points it at Izuku, and Izuku's like, crap. And he looks behind him and he sees that Uraraka's there too. And he's like, wait, what the? And he tries to wake her up. He's like, Uraraka! And Uraraka just slightly gets like, Izuku? He's like, thank goodness you awake. That explosion Bakugo hit you was quite lethal. But we're in a bigger predicament right now. She's like, what's happening? And he's like, look. And he sees that they're both aiming at him. And she's like, crap. And he's like, I got a plan. But you gotta be quick. And Uraraka's like, right. And Bakugo's like, stop talking! You're fast, right, Izuku? So dodge this. And he's like, no! And that's when Ida also pulls it, and just massive explosions coming at Izuku. And Izuku's like, alright then, I saw this in the TV show. Thought it'd be cool. And then he starts to charge up his ki, and he's like, and he draws it back. And now he's doing a similar motion to the Kamehameha. And Izuku would be like, let's just say, Tokyo Blast! And, Izuku does a Tokyo Blast, and it collides with the freaking explosion, and Bakugo's just impressed. No, he wouldn't be impressed. He's surprised. He's surprised. Like, what the? And just a massive explosion happens. A massive explosion happens. And everyone's like, what the? And that's when they hear, the hero team wins. And everyone's like, wait, what? And the smoke clears, and all they see is the bomb floating with Uraraka on top of it. And everyone's like, what? The hero team wins! And Izuku's like, we won. But he just passes out, of course, overusing his ki. And at that point was, one of the best battles of the day. Everyone else seeing that was motivated and tried their best. And the only one that was really impressive was Todoroki's, quick win, freezing the building and everything. So Izuku, after seeing Recovery Girl and getting scolded by her, would be in class asking where Bakugo is, and they'll tell him that he probably left by now. Izuku would catch up to Bakugo, and Bakugo's there, and he'll shout, Kachan! And he's like, what do you want, Deku? What, you want to rub it in that you won? And he's like, no, it's just that our battle earlier. He's like, I won't let you win. I won't let you win next time. And Bakugo starts to cry, and Izuku's like, Bakugo is like, shut up! How could I let this happen? How could I lose? Even though All Might. And he stops himself. He's saying, whatever. And Izuku would be like, oh, Bakugo. But then he'll be like, wait, what was he talking about? All Might? Anyways. And Izuku would walk away too, going home after a win, you could say. A win, yeah. So the next day comes around and Aizawa starts talking to everyone, telling them that they're gonna go to the USJ. They're gonna be doing some training and they need to get the hero costumes ready and go on the bus. So as usual, they start talking who has the best quirk. I'm gonna say everyone thinks Izuku's quirk is really cool, and that's when Sue would say, you could say his quirk could be similar to All Might, and everyone's like, All Might can't fly and shoot ki blast. He's like, yeah, true. And by Sue saying that, actually got Bakugo pissed off. Was like, she doesn't know All Might and all that ish. So finally they arrive at the USJ, and Izuku, before entering, could two key signatures in there, and he asked Mr. Zawa, hey, Mr. Zawa, how many teachers are going to be joining us? He's like, well, it's just me and 13. He's like, you and 13? He's like, what's wrong? He's like, is there supposed to be one more person in there? And Zawa's like, no. And Izuku's like, oh. And Zawa's like, do you think maybe? And Izuku's like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what it could be. And Zawa's like, alright then, don't freak out. Alright, Izuku, stay composed. They could be easily just be a mishaps, And Izuku's like, could be, but unlikely. So they would go in, being cautious, and Izuku would enter us being cautious and also tap Uraraka on the chest and be like, be on your guard. And she's like, wait, what? And she didn't really hear what he said. So Aizawa would go up to 13, telling him that what Izuku felt, all of that, and she would be like, alright then. And she would introduce the USJ as usual until a purple portal starts opening up. And Izuku's like, I knew it! And Aizawa's like, the kid was right. And freaking just villains start splurging out. I love saying that word, splurge. Is that even a weird word? Splurging out. Anyways, a bunch of villains start splurging out. And Izuku's like, I knew it! And Aizawa's like, alright then, 13, get these kids out of here. I'm gonna fight these guys to hold them off. And it's like, alright then, everyone, leave the building! And that's when Kirikiri comes, as usual. And all that stuff happens. With all of them being separated, and Izuku appears in the water. And he sees a villain coming at him. And he was about to shoot a ki blast at him. Until the villain gets kicked in the face by Sue. And Izuku's taken out by Sue. So I'm just gonna say, they come up with the same plan as, well, something similar. So they'll jump off the boat and Izuku will shoot a ki blast that makes a typhoon as usual, and freaking Mineta throws his balls. I don't like the sound of that. So they'll be there and they'll witness the Nomu squashing Aizawa's arm, you could say, or breaking it in half. And Izuku, couldn't stand for this, and he's like, that thing was designed to fight All Might. He's like, wait, but I fought an All Might. Alright then, Kevin, let's hope we can put this to use. And Shigaraki's talking to the Nomu, and he's like, doing all that thing, and then suddenly Izuku comes flying by, and he grabs Aizawa, and he's like, get Aizawa out of here! And he throws him to Sue and Mineta, and they start running. And Izuku's flying. He's like, this is where you cross the line, villains. I'm gonna stop you. And Shigaraki just starts laughing. He's like, what, you kid? You're not gonna stop no one. And it's like, Nomu, attack him. And the Nomu comes barreling at Izuku and jumps up to Izuku's height. And he throws a punch at Izuku, and Izuku's like, a delicious hope! And Izuku does the cross block, on the normal, and Izuku gets blown away, but he stops himself in the air and he's like, "Oh, it worked!" And Shigaraki's like, "Wait, that punch should have crushed the kid's arms. What the?" And Izuku would think to himself, oh, "Thank goodness that key barrier." And he has a flashback to when, whilst he was learning how to fly, Kevin taught him something else. Something that he should subconsciously always have. But at the beginning, it's going to be a little harder. It's a key barrier. And Izuku's like, a key barrier? It's like, yes. It's a barrier that you constantly keep up. It's something that helps you get less damage and also help your senses better. You can... I'm going to actually... No. Not yet. So anyways, and Izuku's like, "Oh, thanks, Kevin." And Izuku's like, and he goes to the normal and he throws a punch at the normal, but it doesn't do anything. But the normal throws a punch back and Izuku dodges it and he tries to kick it away. Tries to kick the normal away, but it doesn't do anything again. And Izuku's just kind of flying around the normal while the normal's trying to swipe it, trying to get Izuku down. Until the normal actually grabs Izuku's leg and slams it into the ground. And Izuku's like, "Ah!" And the normal's doing like the Hulk smash thing. And Izuku's like, "I gotta get out this." And he's like, "Ah!" And that's when he pulls up a key blast and he freaking blasts the normal's face. And the normal was kind of blinded and it shrieked and let go of Izuku. And it's just like, "Oh, crap." Whatever. And he's like, "I got this." And Izuku flies over to the normal, throwing key blasts, a barrage of them. And the normal's kind of blocking it. And the key blasts are actually kind of hurting the normal. And Shigaraki's like, "Wait, but it has shock absorption. How is it?" And Izuku comes in again and he shoots a massive one at it, with the Noma actually having to run away from it, but Izuku's controlling it, the key, where the key blast's going, and eventually hits the Noma, actually makes the Noma shriek and just hit the wall, and it's just shrieking again, and Shigaraki here just knows, actually got, scared for a bit until he snaps out of, he's like, "Noma! Full power! Kill this brat!" And the Noma shrieks again. He's like, "Rah!" And it goes barreling straight at Izuku and just punches Izuku, which actually sends Izuku flying and hits the wall. And at this point, Izuku's bleeding, and he starts like, "Oh crap! What the?" He's like, "I don't think I can beat this thing." It's designed to kill All Might, and I haven't even defeated All Might once. What am I thinking? And he's downing himself, and the normal at this point, he's full rage mode, you could say, and he starts barreling to Izuku at full pace. No, not full pace. Barreling at Izuku, was like, shrieking, and Izuku was like, "Oh crap!" Until suddenly, I hope that burst your eardrum. But suddenly a massive explosion just hits the normal, which sends the normal flying. And it was Bakugo. And it looks like, "Wait, Bakugo?" And Bakugo was like, "I can't have you dying on me now, Izuku. I have to beat you first." And Izuku's like, "Bakugo, what the?" And he'll look at Bakugo's body and he would see that Bakugo has like reddish orange lightning all over him. Yes, guys. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Izuku would be like, "Wait, is that?" And Bakugo would be like, "Shh, alright, Izuku, get up. I'd rather take this normal by myself, but I don't feel like it." And Izuku's like, "Sure." And that's when Bakugo's like, "Alright then, I will handle the normal while you charge up something big." And Izuku's like, "Alright then." So Bakugo would actually go up to the normal with fully, I'll say, a decent 8% of one for all, just maneuvering around it and just throwing boosted one for all explosions at it, keeping it at bay. And Izuku at this point, he's like doing a similar ki blast to the final flash like he did in the intro exam, and he would charge up 2 large ki blasts, and he's like, and he puts them together. He's like, I forgot what I called it, but yeah, I'm just gonna say he always calls it Tokyo Blast, because why not? Why not? Why not? And I'm gonna say final. Yeah, no, screw it. Button it. It's not there. He's gonna call it Final Flash. So Izuku's like, Final Flash! And Bakugo sees this barreling of just green ki blast coming at him, and he dodges out of the way until the Nomu doesn't see it, and the Nomu sees it and it gets hit by it, and the screech is so loud. The Nomu gets hit into the wall, and the ki blast is still hitting it, which actually breaks the wall behind the Nomu, sending it flying far away. And Izuku's like, thank goodness I don't know Louise. With All Might and Kevin, it dramatically increases my ki blast, my ki amount, and Shigaraki would see this. He's like, no, this is not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. Being a weirdo. And Izuku would look at Shigaraki and smile and say, it isn't fair, because he's here now. And that's when All Might bursts through the doors and he says, I am here. And that's when Shigaraki's just afraid, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, kid, because of you. You ruined my plans. You'll regret doing that. And Zuko would just smile like, I doubt it. And that's when you shout, Gary, let's get the hell out of here. With his voice cracking. I'm joking. So, they'll leave with All Might nearly catching them. So All Might would see Izuku and Bakugo both passed out, and he pulled them over he would take them straight to a recovery girl. So a few minutes has passed, and Bakugo wakes up. He's like, where's the Nomu? Where's that thing? And All Might's like, relax, kid, relax. You're all good. And he's like, oh, All Might. And he's like, yeah, well, I've heard what you done, with young Midoriya. He finally got it out of you, and he's like, you could say that. And he's like, I'm sorry, All Might. I wasn't able to do it by myself. And All Might's like, I wasn't expecting you to do it by yourself. I was expecting you and young Midoriya to do it, together. He's like, I guess so. And it's like, look, Bakugo, you already had your fight with Izuku, and I told you multiple times that this is not the way to go. Anger is not gonna get you far. This attitude, maybe back when you were in middle school, this got you as far as you can, even into UA, but from now on, power is just not everything. You gotta have heart. You gotta learn different things. You gotta be able to inspire people. You gotta be able to collaborate with people. That's how it is to be a hero. That's how it is to be a symbol of peace. That's what I told you, Bakugo, that day. And he's like, I don't know, All Might. You gave me one for all, but I honestly do not know if I can use it. I don't know if I can hold it to the standard of All Might. I know when I was younger, I would just say that I would be richer than you and better than you, but I don't know. And All Might would be like, and Bakugo, what's so funny? Say, you see, you've matured just in a few months. You matured from being that cocky Bakugo, thinking that you're all the best, to this Bakugo. Well, I guess in your fight with Izuku, you reverted to your normal self, but in general, you've definitely improved. I mean, look what you guys done today. You guys were able to take out a threat that was supposed to be equivalent to me. And all Bakugo was like, I guess so. It's like, do you still see young Midoriya as that quirkless, nobody, powerless Izuku anymore? And Bakugo's like, no. He's like, you see, people can change, Bakugo. I saw this potential in you. And now you are changing yourself. Remember that. I wasn't just born the symbol of peace. I had to earn it. And that's something that all pro heroes understand. And also young Midoriya understands. It's something that you have to understand yourself. And as All Might says that, Izuku wakes up, he's like, where am I? And he's like, it's okay, kid, it's okay. It is okay. You're good. And Bakugo sees that Izuku's awake and looks at him and he's like, alright, I'm ahead of class. Oh, being kind of sore, but he fights through it because he doesn't want to be in the room with Izuku right now. So Izuku and All Might start to talk about what happened, similar to Bakugo's conversation with All Might, but not anything to do with One For All. Just talking how Izuku used the fighting strategies he did with All Might and all that stuff. And he would tell them that he is very impressed with Izuku and Bakugo. With Izuku also leaving the room and going home. So yeah. That's what I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a long one. I'm just gonna title this movie, because why not? Because why the hell not? So yeah. Some of you might be triggered, some of you might happy that I gave this Bakugo One For All, but yeah, you guys were like, what? Why would you do it? Are you an idiot? I don't know. Because I want to do that because I like it in stories where Izuku gets to compete with someone. I'm not going to give anyone spirit control because, yeah, there's no point, waste of time. So I decided to give Bakugo, One For All. It's One For All is really strong, like really strong. So it's going to motivate Izuku and Bakugo to work together and become stronger. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And I'm looking forward to part 3. I'm just going to say let's get 40 likes on this to get part 3. And, yeah, without further ado, it's been King Donald signing out. Peace.